commercial driver's license manual and their version of the modernized vehicle inspection. The order of these items are in the very back. They're going to hand you a list of items that you're going to inspect in a particular order. Although it doesn't have to be in a particular order, you can request to inspect items in a different manner if you wish. So I've got a few of those that I like to do that just seem to flow a little bit better. This is the list of items here. On here, I believe there are 21 items that you have to inspect on this entire truck. We're checking out this T680 Kenworth. We'll be using this part here. That's the representative vehicle. This is the list of items. I want us to start out with the in-vehicle inspection. Unlike previous iterations of this vehicle inspection where we started at the front of the vehicle and worked our way back, they want us to start with the in-cab now. I believe that's to save time because most people fail the leaks, alarms, and buttons portion of the in-cab, so they want to get that out of the way. In order to avoid that, my students at least that go to Class B training company, they start with the tub check, the service check, the air governor cutout, which we call the purge, TSP, and then they do the leaks, alarms, and buttons, the LAB. This list has you starting at the leaks, alarms, and buttons. We're going to start with the emergency equipment as we walk into the vehicle. Okay. So the first emergency piece of equipment that you come to on this vehicle is your fire extinguisher. It should be mounted properly with this strap. It should be full. It should be properly rated for the truck. Now we're going to go ahead and get in the truck. Let's start with a seat belt. Okay, set this up here. Now the seat belt is not on the exam. I do, however, want you to check the seat belt. Make sure there's no cuts, tears, or frays on the seat belt. No burn marks. We're going to lock it in place. Make sure it stays locked. Make sure it unlocks. And then we'll relock it in place. We're going to check for other emergency equipment. We have 3 red reflective triangles down here in their box. A spare fuse for every fuse type in the truck. That's it for emergency equipment. Go to the other things that we can check with the vehicle off. We have mirrors, our traffic monitoring devices. So they're properly mounted and secured to the side of the truck, this side and this side over here, and the nose. We have a West Coast mirror, we have a convex mirror, we have a convex mirror up the front, and we have a West Coast and a convex mirror in the side here. All of these mirrors are clean and clear and properly adjusted for the driver, for me. We're going to keep sweeping across and down so we come to our windshield. Our windshield is clean and clear, free of damage, cracks, chips, dings, glazing. On the way down, we're going to look at our windshield wipers. Our windshield wipers are properly affixed to the posts. The arms are not bent. The wiper blades are rubber, so they're not dry rotted or cracked. They sit flat along the glass. So let's go ahead and crank our truck a little bit. So we're going to turn the key to the run position. We'll notice that the ABS light comes on and goes off. There it goes. Now, everything is reset on the dash. We're going to go ahead and cover the brake. Make sure applied. Make sure the vehicle is in neutral. And we start the truck. The vehicle running, it's building air. So it's maximum governor cutout on this gauge. That'll be between 120 and 140 PSI. Right now it's building up from 60 PSI, it's at 70. We're gonna let this idle up a little bit. Let that air build. While we're allowing the air to build, we're going to use the wipers. It's gonna work and squirt. They work. The lighting indicators. Also, we're still waiting on the air to finish building. We've got a left turn signal indicator. We've got the 4-way flasher indicator. We've got our high beams. And we've got our right turn signal indicator. While we're still waiting, over and down, let's over here. We're going to crank the heat up. Crank the air blower all the way out. We're going to put this to this setting here. The little guy sitting underneath the windshield. So we're going to check up here for air and check down here for air. Okay, air horn works. City horn, beep, beep, doesn't work. Now let's do the TSP LAB. Tug service purge, leaks, alarms, buttons. So our tug check goes like this. With the brake applied,
You want me, I'm zooming in on that.
a little bit, we're going to put this vehicle, I'm going to cover the brakes and put this vehicle into drive. Apply a little bit of gas. And the vehicle will not move.
Yep.
Put the vehicle back into neutral. Okay, now we're going to do a service brake check. Push the brake in.
Almost in.
Put the vehicle in drive. We're going to pull ahead 5 miles an hour. The vehicle, when I stop this truck, the vehicle should not pull to the left or to the right, indicating that the brakes are misaligned. So we're going to come ahead. And this is 5 miles an hour, and we stop the truck.
Wow.
The vehicle steering wheel did not pull left or right. Now we put it in neutral. Again. Hold on. There it is. Air purge. Governor cutout. That's what we call the purge. TSP. That's the purge. Now, leaks, alarms, and buttons happens like this. The button is pushed in.
Yeah.
That means the brakes are released, like it says on the bottom of this button. Pull to apply, press push to release. We're going to do our leak down test. This vehicle should lose no more than 3 psi in 1 minute with the brakes fully applied. Fully applied means what it takes to stop this truck reasonably. Okay, not a foot pedal all the way to the floor. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this truck off. To the run position. Watch the needles sweeping. Okay. Now I'm gonna press on the brake. I'm gonna push a little bit of brake pressure in here, just enough to stop the truck. So we're gonna hold this for 1 minute. Let me bring my timer up for 1 minute. And we're gonna start our 1 minute. It's stabilized at 120 psi.
No.
And that's a minute. So 1 minute. It has not lost more than 3 psi in that 1 minute. It's still at 120 psi.
Okay.
Now we want this thing to lose air, so the alarms will come on. Our alarms test is this. We want alarm to come on above 55 psi. It must activate above 55 psi. So we're going to fan the brakes down. You notice I'm not fanning it really fast. That's because I want to know where that light and alarm actually comes on. Now let it stabilize. There it is. There's the light warning, and then you heard the little bing. Well, that was the alarm. Let's do our buttons test. So we fan the brakes, and this dash valve here, this button, should pop out between 20 and 45 psi. So we're gonna depress the pedal, fan the brakes down. All right, so and it popped out at this time at 30 psi. Leaks, alarms, and buttons. We're on the outside of the truck. We're going to follow the list from the outside of the truck. We're going to choose to do the light operations check last because it just seems to flow a little bit better. Remember earlier on I said that we do things a little bit differently just for the flow of it.
Builder.
Anyway, so walking up to this vehicle, we want to check our lenses. Make sure that our lenses are not cracked. Make sure they're clean and clear. They're attached firmly to the truck, either glued, screwed, or whatever. We're looking at the top of the vehicle, make sure those lenses are attached properly, not cracked or loose. Now we're going to check our fluid levels, so I'm going to have to open the hood. This Kenworth, you open the hood on this Kenworth by lifting this strap here, this latch right here, lift it up, and then push it forward and bring it back. That takes this buckle off of this hinge. We do the same thing with this side here. You lift it up and push it forward and take it off like this. And see how it comes free? It's right out of the way. You don't have to worry about it getting in the way. If you're a little height challenged, lift up with your hands and your legs on the side of the hood and lift it up like this. Do not lift with your back. These hoods are very heavy. You could injure yourself if you don't do it carefully. For those of us that are a little more blessed with a taller stature, grab the front of this thing, put your weight back into it, and pull back. The best way you can do it, we'll set that there. You're going to use two hands. One hand here, one hand here, and you're going to have one hand to guide this hood. You pull back on it, keep one hand here, have one leg back, and walk back gently, pressing with the hood until you know that it's going to stay. Once the hood is fully open, let's proceed to this side of the truck. What we're looking for first, generally, is fluid levels. We can also look for things like leaks as well. So underneath this engine, I see no evidence of leaks of any engine oil, any transmission oil, coolant, or fuel. There's no evidence of leaks under this vehicle. There's no puddles or nothing like that at all. If you see water, that's just from the air conditioning outlet where the water comes out. We check our coolant tank. It needs to be between minimum and maximum. Let's move around the other side. Over here, since oddly enough we've run this truck, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to pull this oil dipstick. However, we're going to take it out, wipe it off with a clean rag, reinsert it, take it out again, and then check the level. It needs to be between minimum and maximum on this gauge. Reinsert it and make sure that you lock this in place. If this comes out, you could lose oil. Now we'll check other fluid levels. Our power steering fluid needs to be between minimum and maximum, between minimum full and maximum full and minimum hot, or maximum full and minimal cold in there. It happens to be right here at full, and the truck's hot, so we're good. We're in good shape. This is a sealed transmission, so we're not checking the transmission oil. Now we're looking for signs of air leaks. Let's look at this air line right here. It seems to be attached firmly on this side of the frame and to this side of this brake chamber. There's no dry rot, no cuts, no abrasions. It's not coming in contact with anything. There are no evidence of leaks coming out of this hose. All right, so moving on, we're going to get into the steering system. Well, we've already talked about the level of the fluid here in this power steering tank. So let's talk about the tank itself. It's properly mounted to the engine bracket. All of the hoses are not leaking, they're not dry rotted, and they are properly mounted to the tank. This hose leads back to the power steering pump. There's no evidence of leaks on the pump. The pump is mounted to the front side of the air compressor with bolts and nuts and seals, and it's gear driven. There's no evidence of leaks on that power steering pump. Moving off into our system a little more, we have a steering gear shaft. Like if you were checking a drive shaft on a vehicle, it's not bent, twisted, it's not cracked, and it's properly attached at these universal joints. There's no debris caught up in the universal joints that would cause it not to be able to turn. Moving to our steering gear box, it's properly mounted and secured to the frame with these nuts and bolts. There are no evidence or signs of leaks of power steering fluid that would be coming through here and possibly getting out through a crack down here, or through a broken seal up here, or even a broken seal here. The pitman arm, this is the pitman arm. It's properly mounted to the side of the steering gearbox. Moving down, here's a drag link. The pitman arm and the drag link are connected with a ball joint. It is well lubricated, it is not leaking. It is connected through the pitman arm with a castle nut and a cotter key. Moving our way back, on the steering system, we have a steering knuckle. The steering knuckle also has a ball joint, a castle nut, and a cotter key connecting the two together with the drag link. Moving back down here. So right here, right there is our tie rod. It's connected to the lower control arm of the steering knuckle with a castle nut, a cotter key, and a ball joint. So down here where it says brake contaminants, what we're going to do is we're going to look on the inside of this brake drum and see if there's any signs of hub oil leaks or anything of that nature. Make sure that there is no oil, grease, or debris inside the with those brake liners. Okay, so let's look at our tires, rims, lug nuts, spring mounts, shocks, brake hoses, and, well, brake contaminants. Well, we've already knocked out the brake contaminants, so let's talk about our tires. Right here on our tires. So what we're looking for on our tires is that there are no abrasions, bulges, cuts, dry rot, like you've heard before in other videos. Well, you don't want that on the side of this tire or anywhere on this tire. Our tread depth on the front needs to be more than 4/32 of an inch. Well, let's keep talking about the tires. Well, okay, yeah, they're in great condition. We have plenty of tread depth, but what's the pressure? How do we find that information? Gee, I wondered. So on the side of this tire,
right there.
yeah, it's not like it's right here on the tire, but it is. Where is it? Well, let's look at this right here. Let's see.
Also,
let's see. Oh, look, 120 psi cold. Always check your tires when they're cold in the morning when you first get up. So when you go out, find your tire pressure gauge, the truck tire pressure gauge. Find your valve stem with its metal cap, the metal valve stem with a metal cap. Check the tire pressure on it
with
tire pressure gauge. You're going to check the tread depth with a tread depth gauge. They're cheap. It's cheap insurance, people. So now we're going to discuss this rim. Well, this rim is gorgeous. It looks like it was just cleaned. I mean, it looks brand new. You would never know if this thing had any sort of thing wrong with it at all because it's just so beautiful. It's a great rim. Anyway, congratulations to the detailer that cleaned this rim. They did a great job. Here, we have a rim. There are no cracks. It's not warped or dented. No one's tried to weld on this aluminum rim.
It's present.
It is there. The tire is...
The manual actually says that the tire has to be touching the ground.
Yes. I'm not even kidding. We'll go into that later. The oddities of... Yes, that's a video unto itself. So anyway, so the rim itself is not cracked. There are no dents. It's not overly tightened at the lug nuts. All of the lug nuts are present and tight. There's no wallered out holes, no oblong holes, no distorted holes. There are no little half moons on the side there indicating that it might be shifting around. There's no shiny metal, which would indicate that things are, well, other than the metal that's supposed to be shiny, there's no indication that there's anything slipping on it. Lug nuts aren't making gouges in the aluminum rim, things of that nature. There's no rust trails leading off of it, which would be from the washer on the bottom of the lug nut bouncing around like this.
There's no rust trails here.
No rust trails. So they're all present, and there they are. Spring mounts. All right, let's talk about leaf springs. Come on in here. So this is going to be real easy for us. We've got our leaf springs. They're stacked one on top of another. Okay, they're not shifted in any way. There are no cracks in our leaf springs at all, and there are none missing. As a matter of fact, they're mounted up in the front on these leaf spring brackets here. It's mounted in the middle with 2 U-bolts with 4 nuts with a saddle mount that's attached to a shock. And the shock is attached at the bottom of the shock and the top of the shock. The shock is not leaking. There are no dents, dings, cracks, or anything like that. We'll move our way back to the properly mounted leaf spring in the back. That leaf spring mount has a hanger. So, properly mounted at the rear. There are no cracks in the housing. There's no loose or missing hardware. There's no wrecked bolts. It's not all boogered up. Right? Boogered up. It's a thing. Let's move on. So, we've knocked our spring out, our mounts. Okay. We've knocked out the shock. It doesn't have an airbag in the front, so how about that? Brake lines and hoses we did earlier when we checked the brake system for leaks. As a matter of fact, we went a little overboard, went into the old test model and checked out the brake chamber. You're not going to see that on here.
We'll never see Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob does not exist. It was big square head, fat round belly. Bye-bye, Uncle Bob.
No.
My Uncle Bob will actually be very happy about that because he's a fan. And he's been like, Hart, what are you doing, man? You keep picking on me every time you do a pre-trip video. Well, sorry, Uncle Bob. You're no longer a superstar. That's the way it goes. So let's move along to side of the vehicle. Lenses and reflectors.
I wonder what this could be.
Yeah, look at that.
Could that
looks
be
like
a reflector? Could that be a lens?
That looks like a lens that's not cracked, that's clean, that's clear. So it must be properly mounted and secured because it's not falling off. How is it secured? Well, got screws back here. A couple nuts. Yeah. Maybe a little duct tape. Remember how we used to talk about the steps on these things?
No longer.
Not anymore.
No longer.
Nope.
They don't even need to be present now.
No, you don't need steps anymore. You just jump up in the truck. Just jump through the window. Once you do it face first with 3 points of contact, there you go.
Yeah.
So
Spider-Man.
fuel tank. That is on here. Okay?
Oh no.
Fuel tank is definitely on here. That's a good thing. But here's where it gets kind of funny. We got the fuel tank and we have the DEF tank. Okay? Both of them are properly mounted secured to the truck. None of them are leaking. And let's look at what they want to know about this fuel tank. Let's see. What do we want to know about fuel tanks? Tanks.
Make sure it's diesel.
Description. A container that holds fuel.
Let's make sure it holds fuel.
Hold on, let me check the name of it first. Fuel tank. Description. A container that holds fuel. Let that sink in, people. These are your legislators. Okay, we're also checking the DEF tank, this thing. So we want to make sure that cap is on, so the stuff doesn't leak out the top. We want to make sure the cap's on this thing.
Hand tight.
Hand tight.
You don't even say that anymore.
No. Hand tight.
It just falls off.
And this one says can work.
It's a
So
special.
both tanks have exactly the same criteria that you're inspecting. You don't want any leaks. The fuel, the caps are on there. They're securely mounted tight, and there are no leaks from either or the lines. You're checking the lines too for leaks. So you don't want any leaks from the tank or the lines, and the caps have to be on. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna look at the lenses on this because we have them. Look, lenses, yay! Clean, clear, but not cracked. Doesn't even matter what color it is at this point. Reflective.
Oh, you don't have to do it.
Hold on. Let's look at the list.
Is there no reflective
I don't know.
tape?
Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. What do you think? Do you think there is?
It just
Side
swaps.
of vehicle, lenses and reflectors. You know what? I'm gonna say this. That is a reflector.
It's a reflector.
Not actually a reflector. It's reflective tape.
DOT tape.
Right. It's DOT. Reflective tape.
It says DOT.
Yeah, it does. It does say DOT. But this is not a reflector. A reflector would be a round thing stuck to the side with a screw.
So we don't
That's a
care.
reflector. No, we don't care. Let's move along. Wait a minute. Did we already talk about our mirrors?
In the front.
Logically, we have a list.
Wow.
So let's walk back up to the mirrors before we leave. Look, we did talk about them inside. Anyway, our mirrors are connected to the side of the A-pillar here, the side of the cab. I believe they're screwed in place or bolted.
They're here.
Okay, the mirrors, they're clean and clear, adjusted for the driver.
Yes.
There are no cracks in the bracket.
What's that fancy word?
I don't know no fancy words, sir. Anyway. Right? Traffic monitoring devices. Oh, is that what we gotta use
You're
now?
monitoring the traffic.
They ain't all boogered up. Your looky glasses ain't all boogered up. We're gonna call them looky glasses. Anyway, so hey, look. You got a thing called battery on this thing.
Where is it?
Where's the battery on this truck? I don't see it on this side. You know what? I bet it's on the other side.
It's on the other side. Gonna look at the passenger side.
We're gonna look at the passenger side of the vehicle.
Unique items.
We probably should have done when we were on this side anyway, but you know, we're on the front side. So here's our battery. Properly mounted secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, all nuts and bolts present tight. Let's just pop this cap off for 10 minutes. So this comes off real easy, okay?
Battery.
There's absolutely no reason not to slide that thing off. Let's take a look at how they're connected. None of the wires are bare. None of the wires have any corrosion on them, okay? They look like they're in fantastic shape. They're bolted down with this rail that goes around the top. They're nice PACCAR batteries that go along with a PACCAR engine and a PACCAR product. None of these batteries are bulging or leaking. There's no venting of hydrogen sulfide gases. They're really in good shape. They're not wet on the top, which would mean that they're leaking out the top. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for leaks on the batteries and things of that nature. And these are in great shape. So put the battery box back together. And this is easy. Look how easy this is. Just kind of slide that up in there. And this is where I screw up and it stops becoming easy, right?
Yes.
So, boom, it's back in place. Oddly enough. That's it. That's all we got left. Let's go this way. Well, since we're over here anyway.
No, we have to go all the way around.
We have to go around again. God, I'm gonna get my steps in today. Hey, we're talking about lenses. Hey, remember that stuff we were talking about, lenses in the front? You're gonna do the same thing for the lenses in the back.
And we don't care about the color.
Right, we don't care about the color. We just
It
care about
exists.
the content of this craft, whether it's clean and clear. Okay, this is a dump truck that hauls asphalt. There's nothing on the back of this truck that's going to be clean, much less clear. There's no way it's gonna stay like that. He's gonna have to wash it every week in order to keep it that way. So, good luck, sir. Good luck.